Yes, I've forgotten multiple times throughout my youth, throughout my childhood. I felt I was left out, didn't belong in certain places. Came to a time where I thought I was raised quite differently than my peers because just of the way that I was thinking, I had to grow up fast so many times that I just didn't have the time to enjoy my childhood.
There was a point in time where I did feel forgotten in my own church. A point in time I was about 15 years old. People used to judge me based on how I dressed, judge me based on how I acted, my slang, me talking or whatever. So based on that, having a teenager mentality, I used to just not want to come to church based on people judging me without knowing that you're not supposed to listen to what everybody tells you. You're supposed to come to church because you want to serve God and know more about God. So during that time period, I just stopped coming to church for a long period of time.
I have felt forgotten, I'd say, most of my life. For the simple fact that I never really was into church. Like, I used to go to Catholic church, but I didn't feel like I was a part of a family. I was part of the community. And I also felt like I was forced to go by my parents. So then I would just go just to, I guess, to feel like I was a part of something. But I know deep down in my heart that I wasn't. So I felt like there was a piece missing there. So every time I would go to this church, I felt like I was alone. Like, nobody would talk to me. They weren't as open or friendly with everyone. Like, they wouldn't greet you or welcome you in. So I didn't feel like I could just talk to anybody. Like, I felt like I would just sit all the way in the back and I was alone. Like, nobody would notice me in the back at all. So I just felt forgotten there. Like, I wasn't a part of anything. So I just felt alone. I felt like I couldn't just go up to the pastor and just talk to him or try to get advice from him. So I just felt alone. Like, I didn't have anyone. How I would cope with my feelings, I would go back home and just shut myself down. I would not talk to anyone. I would just stay to myself. Like, I would have, like, my parents and my sister ask me, what's going on, what's wrong with you? But I would completely, like, shut down and just act like everything was okay when it really wasn't. And I would just put up a wall, basically, and just shut my feelings behind everything.
I didn't cope with my feelings really well. I ended up just going to the world, to be honest. I was just tired of people at church, me being a goody two-shoes all my life. I just wanted to experiment what was it being bad, or what I considered bad at the time. And actually just ended up going to the world and just started experimenting. I started just talking to people who I never thought I would talk to, people who didn't even had my interests at heart. And I ended up just going to clubs, drinking, and just the adrenaline of just having that feeling just made me feel like I was free, but truly I was becoming a prisoner of myself.
I used to cope with not coming to church. Basically, I used to run around the streets, smoke a lot. I used to smoke every day, morning, evening, night. Like, I couldn't somehow live without it. And then there was having sex with random females every other day. Is like, at that point in time, it used to make me feel good about myself. It used to make me, like, want to keep doing it more and more often. But then I learned that that was just the devil taking control of my soul and him basically leading me in the wrong direction. And my grandmother used to pray for me almost every single day when I used to come home, and she used to see that I was high. She used to see that I used to just not be myself. And in her mind, me not being myself is me not coming to church and me not, just not coping with the fact that I'm not in church, and she always prayed for me to come back, but it's like I never wanted to hear that. I never wanted to acknowledge that. I always wanted to just keep doing my thing out there in the streets, keep smoking, keep having sex and all that stuff that just doesn't really matter. And I regretted a lot of things in my life. And it's just a lot, man. It's a lot dealing with not going to church and just not clinging on to the fact that I don't have a relationship with God. To be honest, I felt like I was alone the whole time. And during that alone period of time, I grew depression upon myself. Like, I didn't want to be around nobody. Sometimes I didn't even want to be around my own family. I didn't want to talk to any of them because I felt like none of them knew the stuff I was going through. None of them understood me. Like, there were points and times where I used to cut myself up and just. Sometimes I even used to drink, smoke, or whatever. Like, I used to smoke to the point where I used to fall asleep because I just wanted, like, the pain to go away. But it's like the pain won't go away if you do drugs, if you drink, or anything like that. The only one that could take the pain away is God. And I never really understood that up until last year when I started coming back.
At the beginning, it felt good. You know, it was something different that my body was never used to. But as time progressed, I became more addicted to going out and just having that rush of just going out there and just doing what I like to do and not have to abide by anybody's rules but my own. But the more I did it, when I went back home, the emptier I felt inside, because at the end of the day, I may be friends with a lot of people, but when you go back home, it's only you in your bed. Long time ago, when I was at a bar with my friend Manny, and we kept on looking at each other, and we were wondering where we saw each other from before, and we started talking through a mutual friend there, and then we came to realize that we always lived around the same circles, we just never bumped into each other. And since that moment, at that bar, we started talking about God, with the music in the background, with the drinks in front of us, and we were just talking about God and where we come from, our background, why we left, and all that conversation. That was our first conversation, and ever since that moment, I started to realize that I wasn't alone, and there were other people out there that felt the way that I felt, that are going through that same feeling of emptiness, and they're basically, I am one of the many sheep that stray away and is struggling to get back to God's place. What I like about God is that despite my struggles, despite my weaknesses, despite my wanting to stray away from Him, He still found His way to me and straightened me back into His ways. And through it all, God hasn't forgotten about me.
So what caused a life change in me is Manny, of course. He kept mentioning for me to start giving church a chance, and kept telling me how I wouldn't feel those feelings like I felt in the other one. I would start feeling like I was a part of a group, and that I wouldn't feel alone. So I decided to give it a chance. Like, I didn't think, in my head I kept thinking, what would be the worst thing that could happen by me just going one day? Like, will I hate it? Will I feel alone again? Which that was obviously one of the biggest things that I didn't want to feel again, but I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I decided to go to youth camp. And at that time, I actually needed it for because I was going through some things personally with my daughter, and I knew that I needed it at that time. So I went to youth camp, and after going to youth camp, It really did open my eye, and it really did change myself. So I started feeling something different that I never knew I could feel. So I felt like I was a part of a family. Everybody welcomed me with open arms. Edie, she treated me like I was one of her own. I really felt that. I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel like I was by myself. I could easily, like, if I sit all the way in the back of church, they would come up to me and tell me, no, come sit in the front. You're not alone. You could be up here in the front with us. So to me, that felt good. I felt like I wasn't forgotten. I felt like I was in the right place. Like I wasn't alone. And like I said, like at that time, I needed that. I really did, because I felt like I was alone. Like, yeah, I had my family, but at times I can't sit here and talk to them and tell them what I'm going through, what I'm feeling. So by me coming here, it really helps me a lot. It makes me feel better. So ever since then, yeah, there are times that I don't come at times, but when I do, it makes me feel better. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm not by myself, and I have God by myself. I mean, I have God by my side, and He's always there no matter what, whenever I need Him. And I know that He would never leave me by myself or leave me alone. And I know that by me being with Him, I'm not forgotten.
What caused a change and turnaround in my life? February 13th, 2017. A day that I will never forget. Hanging around with the wrong people at the wrong time. Just wanted to go out, just wanted to smoke, whatever it is. And I ended up getting caught up in a robbery. I got caught up in an armed robbery with some people that I thought were my friends. I didn't know what was going on until they told me the details when we got to where we were supposed to go. And some innocent guy got robbed. They took everything from him. I didn't want to see that, so I got back to the car. Then a few weeks later, I got a letter from a federal agent telling me that he wants to meet with me. So I go meet with him, and he pulls up my friend's file, and he looks at me, he says, "Do you know this kid?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know him. I showed him every single day to make sure that he's good, make sure he's not doing nothing crazy." So he tells me that he got arrested. Long story short, a few weeks after that conversation I had with the federal agent, I got another letter in the mail from another federal agent saying that you have a case held up against you. I got confused, and I was like, what's going on? So my parents hired a lawyer to check everything out, and basically the lawyer told me that those two kids that you was with basically snitched you out to the law. And in my mind, I was like, why would he do this? Like, I thought he was like my little brother. I used to look out for this guy. I used to help him out with anything that he needed, his relationship, he having problems with his family. Like, I used to help him out with everything. So me in my mind, I was like, why did he do this? Why did he betray me like this? And then I came to realize that, to be honest, those weren't my friends. They were just people holding me back from something much more greater. I'm not mad. I'm not upset at the guys who did this to me. I forgave them. It took me a long time to forgive them, but I forgave them. But then it's like, I went to this regional camp. I think it was I don't know the exact month or what it was, but that regional camp, I met a lot of people who lift me up spiritually, and it was amazing. It was amazing to the point where I wanted to keep coming, and I never wanted to leave. There's still a lot of temptations that I deal with day to day, a lot of demons that I battle with, but at the end of the day, no demon is bigger than God, and it's like, as long as I cling on to that, everything else will just fall through. I gotta seek first the kingdom of heaven, and that's what I plan on doing still, from day to day, no matter what. And I am living proof that God hasn't forgotten about me, and He hasn't forgotten about you.
God hasn't forgotten.
Pero Dios no te ha olvidado.
God hasn't forgotten about you.
God hasn't forgotten about you.
God hasn't forgotten about you.
But God hasn't forgotten you.
Pero Dios no se ha olvidado.
But God hasn't forgotten you.
God hasn't forgotten about you.
Pero Dios no se ha olvidado.
Dios no se ha olvidado.
But God hasn't forgotten you.
Pero Dios no se ha olvidado de ti.
God has never forgot about you.